Good morning, it's Mary. It is February 5th, 2019, Talk to Me Tuesday. Had a very productive week. Had to work on my house a lot this week, but I also got a lot done. I think I told you last week I went to my quilt shop and was long arm quilting on my stained glass wall hanging. This is a UFO that's many, many years old. It was a top, and I took it over there and we quilted it, and I have now bound that, and it is finished. So it is my first finished quilt and finished UFO for 2019. Yay! I'll put a picture of that in here finished for you to take a look at. And the holdup on that was that I wanted to put a double binding on it. This has been an experimental piece for me from the beginning. The stained glass blocks themselves are paper pieced on, instead of paper, I used embroidery stabilizer, figuring this goes and stays into things. I don't like to leave paper in a quilt because, you know, people say, well, it washes out. It doesn't. It's like when you wash your jeans with a piece of paper in your pocket and it turns into that clumpiness and it's just going to stay there forever. So I try to get all the paper out, but I thought this could just stay in there, and so it is in there. It quilted up without any issues. And then since it was a practice piece to start with, I wanted to try a double binding on it, and so I did that. The only thing I'm a little disappointed in is that the back is a white polka dot on black, and it's pretty big, and so on the binding, which is that same, it looks great on the back because it matches, but on the front I've got pieces of dots somewhere and no dots other places, and so the binding sort of looks like it has random white little things on it that you can't even discern to be whole dots in places. But anyway, it's okay. I did learn a lot from that. That was a great learning experience, learning to do edge-to-edge quilting. So that is finished. It is a UFO and a finished project for 2019 checked off my list, so very happy about that. Now at the quilt shop I am over halfway finished a second UFO, and so I can't show you that. It's at the shop, and I'm hoping to get by there today and finish it. But the good news is I can tell you about it because this was made back in the day when I was making two of everything, which I really need to get back in the habit of. So the one over there is similar to this. It's exactly the same as this. It's just in different fabrics. And so this is an Anita Good design. This again was a learning piece where I was learning to piece in the hoop. And so this is just a fun little pattern. If I can scoot back, let me make sure I have the top up. I don't. Here we go. So here's what I'm learning on this one. I wanted to get a little beyond edge to edge, start talking about filling and cropping and borders and corners. So you'll see this has 3 borders on it. This one I'm not quilting. This one I'm putting leaves across, and this one I'm putting the cutest little silly pumpkins across with leaves in between them. And the challenge, of course, is to get borders come with borders and corners that match, but you have to get them to match, fit in the corner, match up to continuously sew from the border. So you've got to get that all sized in there and get this all wiggled around to fit in there and look right. And then the leaves were kind of interesting because they come across straight in the border, but then on one corner, there's a little leaf here that drops down farther, and then on the other corner, it is, the longer end is here, and the shorter end is here. So, you know, you're either doing math or moving it around quite a bit. And but it ended up looking very nice with the yellow not quilted. Then on the middle, which would be from the inside of this green border square, what I wanted was an all-over pattern that didn't distract from all of this piecing. And by the way, both of these, I really can't blame myself, because both of these came off of my embroidery machine and had the exact same problem on them. Of course, I can't find it now. Oh, on the side of this pumpkin, you see where that isn't matching up? It's like that on both of them. So next time I do it, I'm going to need to be aware of that and fudge that a little so that it doesn't do that. But anyway, what I did on this is, in this whole green square, including the jack-o'-lantern, I did an all over, except I didn't want to quilt in the eyes, nose, and mouth. So that was my challenge on this one, was to get an all over design into a square inside my borders, and then you have to mark this and erase or delete what's in, crop out what's inside of the yellow so that they're going to stand out more. Now, from a learning aspect, it was a great experience doing this because I learned so much. And I haven't done the side borders because you have to turn it and do those. So I have now done the top two borders, top four corners, and the inside. So all I have left is the bottom borders, and then learning how to turn it and do the side borders. Now, what happened on here was interesting. On this one, it's going to be awesome because I know some more things. The woman who was helping me suggested variegated thread, which I have never liked. I've just never liked variegated, whether it's in crochet or knitting or stitching or anything. I've just never liked it. And I've used it many times, but it's just not my favorite. And so she had suggested a tan to dark brown variegated, which is a pretty thread, and on the back it's beautiful. But what happens is these pumpkins that are so cute here become so subtle. You can barely see the stitching, you can't see the thread, and so they're kind of, I kind of like that it's there, you can see it if you look, but it's not in your face, and because it's a kind of a different shaped pumpkin than the jack-o'-lantern. Same with the leaves. And so when you get out here, I didn't do a small stippling or anything that would have shown better that I was leaving these out. I did a bigger loopity, kind of a stippling, but big. And so what happened was it faded into the green, but when it got on the orange, you could see it. So, and I did also learn, when you crop this out, you have a choice of just stopping the stitching when it gets to the eye, nose, or mouth, or stitching around that. And I chose to stitch around it because I wanted to learn how to do that. And it kind of makes the eyes pop a little. So it is not as obvious as I wish it had been. And on this one, I'm going to spend some more time. I might do a different color thread or a different pattern or something on the background, and then because the stem's kind of fading into the background. So anyway, what happens is it absolutely worked. The stitching came up to here, it outlined this and all of that, and so very subtly it does make the eyes kind of pop out because they are not quilted. On the other hand, if I had a thread, you could see better, and you can see it better on the orange than you can over here. But if I had a smaller stitch smaller design, or this design made smaller, either one, that came up here and obviously stopped, I think it would have been more obvious what I was doing. So anyway, I like what I've done with the quilt because of the concept of it and what I'm learning. But as far as you saying, oh, those pumpkins up here are so cute, love the leaves here, and I love how you didn't do the eyes, that's not going to be that obvious. It's a little more subtle. But from a learning standpoint, great experience. And I actually stood at that machine. Now, I know, and I'm hoping this gets faster, but to get that set up, get the borders on in that one middle section, and marking this, cropping it, blah blah blah, and she showed me how and left me alone to do it. I stood at that machine from 10:30 in the morning until 5:45, never left the machine. I never went to the bathroom, got a coffee, had lunch, stood there. That's how much fun I was having. And so I have to say it was a great experience and I learned a ton, but the second one is going to be a lot nicer. And I don't know when I'm going to tackle that because I have other things to learn. So then, I don't know if you noticed last week that one of our dear friends on TWO was doing a quote for charity. It was Robin, and she showed us this vertical line thing on her Saturdays for Sewing commitment. And I said, I love that pattern. It looks so fun and so easy, and I'm totally going to steal it. Well, I meant down the road I was going to steal it. While I was at the quilt shop on Saturday doing my pumpkin, I said to the shop owner, hand me one of those charity quilts and I'll throw it together for you. She gave it to me in a bag. I brought it home, and when I got home, it's the same pattern. So I have made one of these, and when my pumpkin comes off the machine, I'm going to quickly do an edge to edge on that. But here are the fabrics, and it was so much easier even than, this is a 5-minute quilt. This is, they had cut the strips. They had cut the binding. I pieced the binding together, ready to go on there. I have the backing, I assume cut. Everything's cut and everything. I literally just went to the machine, sewed all of these lines, and was done, and thought, well, that was the easiest thing in the world. So I am going to get that quilted. I will throw a full picture of that up here for you, but it's pretty simple. Hang on. So that's just going to give me something else to practice quilting on. Then the other thing I wanted to mention was I mentioned that I joined the Ruler of the Month Club through Handy Quilter, and you don't have to own or be a member of the Handy Quilter Club to get in on this. But if you like rulers, the 2019 club, which is their 4th annual Ruler of the Month, is called Spin Effects. And it looks like Spirograph. I think I tried to describe this to you last week. This is the part that comes free, and it's a template, and it goes, you lay it down for your placement. And so what happens is you can pounce this or use a pencil or chalk or whatever you want to mark your quilt, but it gives you, and then, of course, you can put this down and turn it and get as many of these star shapes as you want. That's for placement. And then each month we'll get one of these. And this was January's. February's we're going to talk about on the 14th. But this is the design I was trying to tell you about, because it has all of these amazing ways you can turn it and twist it and end up with designs like this and borders and things. And yes, everyone thinks it looks like a spirograph. You can do some, this is the exact same template. Look how it is. And if you alternate those, you get a completely different one, or if you overlap them like this. So just almost limited possibilities on that. That's really fun. And that came in on Saturday, so that was exciting. And then, let's see. Oh, I did finish another UFO, and not real proud of this, but I'm happy with the process. This was one that was just flat a learning project from the beginning, and I don't know at what point I thought I should have quit on it and trashed it, but I actually ended up finishing but it's not worthy of anyone using it. What I did was I took cheap fabric, and these spec quarters you get for nothing, and made this design. So I thought it was cute. I was working on half square triangles. I have a box full of these 2.5 inch half square triangles somewhere. There was a time when every time I had scraps left over from paper piecing or a project or something, I was throwing together half square triangles. And at some point I'm going to make some sort of scrappy thing, which is so not my style. But I am using up scraps, and I have all these sitting around. So I was learning different ways to do half square triangles. I think I did whatever the 5 minutes of something, and I did half square triangles. That was during that phase, and so I was working with them. That's one thing. And then the second thing I wanted to try on this was I wanted to try quilting on my embroidery machine, because I thought that for some reason I could get around getting a long arm by quilting on my embroidery machine. And I'm not good at it. And so if it's easier to see on the back, see these flowers? Can you see that? Yeah. Those I was putting here, and then I was putting these stars. Do you see a star? I was putting the stars around here, and then I was like faking borders here by putting this floral design. And did it work? Yes. But a lot of what I was learning was how to get them centered, and so not all of these are where I would need them to be, and then these aren't even. If you look, they don't match. So then I had already cut the binding, so I went ahead and sewed the front of the binding on, but it was open. So it was faster. I learned from it. I pretty much learned that if I'm ever going to do this again, it would have to be on a small project like this, and it would have to be, I would have to take more time with it, because I don't know how you are, but once I get to where this isn't even with that, then the rest are just play. I'm just putting them down, learning, what if I do this? What if I do that? Can I do it faster? Do I need to slow it down? So it was learning, but it very quickly got way out of anybody being able to use it. And so then it went in my UFO stack because the binding wasn't sewn on. Well, one thing that I wanted to do, which I'd never done, is machine sew binding on through and through, because I wanted to try that on stained glass. And so I had just never done that. Always done it by hand, because that was something my mother said was something that had to be done, and doing it on the machine was just unacceptable. Well, now it is acceptable. She also was a hand quilter. She used to hand piece. She got to where she machine pieced, but still hand quilted, and so it is now acceptable. And so I needed a piece to practice that on, and so I made a mess of that. And again, once you make a line like that, then it doesn't matter what you do after that, because this piece has been long ruined. So I can't donate this to anybody. I mean, it's a wall hanging. If I give it to Goodwill, they can't even sell it. So I am going to give this to my vet's office, who always has borders, or not borders, or strays in cages, or sick animals, or whatever. I think a puppy or a kitten could snuggle with this and not really care what my stitches look like. So that was another learning experience, but it was more importantly another UFO off my list, and another finished project for 2019. So I have now finished 2 quilts, 2 projects for 2019, both of them UFOs. Pretty proud of that. So I'm getting to my list is the most important thing. I have this huge list, and I have 2 checked off, and in January just ended, so pretty exciting. Let's see what else I have. Then the other thing I did, this is like this I call hashtags. This is kind of a byproduct quilt, and here's why. I showed you this when I was doing last week, and it's coming along great, except I'm now out of fabric, and I have to order more white fabric to finish it, but it's going to be finished in the next couple days. What happened was when I decided to do a black, white, and elephant colored quilt, I didn't have the elephant. This is Moda. I had Moda Basics Snow, Moda Basics Black, and Moda Basics Robin's Egg. So I'm putting a little bit of Robin's Egg in it, which I haven't done yet. And in this 102 blocks in 60 weeks project, I was using these, and so I started, and I made the first block I made was the hashtags, and I made 5 of them. So I ordered more. I only had a jelly roll of the snow and a junior jelly roll. So I ordered more Moda Basics Black, Snow, and Elephant. Well, that came in, and I started sewing the rest of these blocks. I have, I guess, only 3 of the 102 blocks finished. And when I went to put it together, it became clear to me that there's snow and there's snow, and I don't know if they changed what they were doing, because this was in 2009 I ordered this. I still have the receipt. They either changed snow to white, or there's a snow white and a snow. I don't know. Bottom line is I have these 5 hashtags, and the snow that I'm making all of these 102 blocks in is white, and this is cream or an off-white. So first thing I thought was I now have 5. First thing, I have to make 5 more of these, which I did. Second, I have 5 hashtags that won't match anything else I'm making over here because it's the wrong white. So those hung out on my wall over here, and I stared at them for a while, and I went, wait a minute. They were laid out like this, and I thought, wait a minute. I still have black, and I still have the rest of the jelly roll and junior jelly roll in the cream. I'm going to make something out of that, and what I'm looking for right now is a lot of negative space, because I want to play with quilting designs, and I really want to play in some negative space. So this is what I came up with, and I used, by the time I put my cornerstones in my border, I had used all but about 2 6-inch pieces of my jelly rolls, which is great. I'm out of, and those, of course, go in my paper piecing fabrics. But I did use up almost all my black, and I need more fabric. So I'm out of fabric, not out, but I need some more fabric. But in the meantime, as a byproduct of this, I got this wall hanging, and it's I like it, and I think it's going to be fun to quilt. I think it's going to come up very nicely, and I can get that finished soon. So that was, I was hoping to get a quilt or throw or wall hanging every 3 or 4 weeks out of these 102 blocks, and I have this one almost finished. This is ready to quilt. So and we're 5 weeks in, I guess, to the year. So 2 and 5 weeks is not bad at all. Like I said, I'm going to get this one finished as soon as that fabric comes in. So this was just an unexpected byproduct from orphan blocks that I ended up having, and I do really like it. So that was an accomplishment. I had to add another one to my list, but it's going to get finished soon. And as you can see, I'm just layering up my design wall right over those other 2 that I'm trying to get back to. So I have 3 I need to get back to. This one, and Hocus Pocus. Hocus Pocus, I just need to do it. I'm just, I have a few more blocks, and I don't know why I stopped on that, but I just need to do it. So anyway, that's what I've got. Been a fun week, and learned a lot, and going to get back out. I hope to get back out to the quilt shop this afternoon and finish up that pumpkin and see if I can get that donation quilt put on the machine. And of course, I'm just going to do an edge to edge on that, something kind of fun. So anyway, good to see you, and have a great week. Bye.